Greetings, my friend. Matt Chiverly back again with another episode to help you look and feel your best. In today's Workout Wednesday, we're talking about common, simple things you can do to nudge yourself forward when it seems like your workouts are no longer really that effective for helping you build muscle. The common knee-jerk reaction when we feel things getting a little stale is like, oh, I've got to change everything, a new program, new tools, new whole approach. When the fact of the matter is a lot of times the potential to keep moving the needle forward is just a small little tweak. And one way you can do that, as I discussed last week, is to move with a little bit more force on the concentric part of your training. So instead of moving with a slow, steady pace, come down under control, maybe a little bit of a pause, and then drive with some extra force during the concentric, which not only helps with power and athleticism, but also improves motor unit recruitment. So you're working with more fibers as if you have a little bit more resistance against the muscle. Another thing that you can do is use an isometric finisher on the last set. So when you're going with your normal dynamic training and you know you're getting close to failure, then you can just hold and get that last little bit of energy out of the muscle, pushing it closer to a stimulus for hypertrophy. Range of motion is the other thing that you can work on. So don't underestimate the power of getting just a little more range in both the top and bottom end of each repetition, because a lot of times the progress you're trying to make is literally just an inch deeper, higher, or longer than what you were previously doing. One of my all-time favorites is, of course, using suspension-based equipment instead of solid bars. So if you're used to doing dips on regular solid dip bars, do gymnastics rings or suspension strap dips. Same with pull-ups, push-ups, even some degree of abdominal training can go from pretty challenging to holy smokes, this is a whole new other level, because the instability, but also ability to move in small, subtle ways to dial in the technique that's right for you, can really amplify things by doing the same technique, but with a suspension-based tool rather than a solid fixed support. Rotation is another element that you can add in for a little bit of extra. Now, naturally, that's easier with simple tools that can rotate, like dumbbells, kettlebells, gymnastics rings, and so on, but you can also do it a little bit on a fixed support. So if I'm doing push-ups, instead of just driving down, I can feel like I'm screwing my arms with external rotation as I come down. And then when I drive up, I have a little bit of internal rotation, kind of like those old push-up handles they used to sell on infomercials. You can do a lot of that rotation with just the inherent rotation available in your joints, and having rotational tools like hand weights or suspension straps can only amplify that. It not only helps to work the muscles to a much higher degree, but it's also a lot less stressful on your joints. Focusing more on tension control, especially full body irradiation, can be a huge game changer. So a lot of times when we do an exercise, we think, okay, yeah, that's working X muscle, like, okay, these are about the glutes sort of thing. That's what I'm trying to work. But when we instead set the tension with all right, getting my back on, my arms are tense, my hamstrings, calves, glutes, everything, even my abs are engaged. And now it is a very different exercise because I'm using my entire body and ensuring I'm engaging my whole muscle chain along my backside for support. Not only, again, does it make it a lot easier on the joints, but it recruits the muscles much more effectively to add in the development of strength, performance, and overall hypertrophy. And then one of the easiest things you can do to move the needle forward is use a more narrow stance, either with your feet or with your hands. You don't have to come all the way close, but if you're used to doing things fairly wide and stable, going just a little bit more narrow can really amplify a lot of muscle recruitment and make the exercise to a whole new level of challenge. Any one of these strategies can work great on their own, so if your workouts are feeling a little stale, just pick one and play with it for the workout. Try to apply it to every one of the exercises you're doing. But the real magic comes when you combine them. So you'll have like a more narrow hand position with rotation on suspension straps and a bit of a faster concentric. And that way they all build on top of each other. And you can really amplify the stimulus you're trying to create, even if you're not necessarily using more technical resistance like weight vests or weight on the bar or adding reps. You're still pushing your muscles to a higher level, even if the numbers aren't really changing. Best of luck in your workouts this week, my friend. Be fit and live free.